Hello, and welcome. We are back this time with a team member of Team Braveworld, and we are going to be discussing his team, his journey in Enterprise Pathway, and their game Acorn's Quest. So, if you would like to introduce yourself and your team, please.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Massey. I'm a designer with Braveworld. We're working on Acorn's Quest.
There it is. Short and sweet. Okay, so where did the inspiration for the game come from?
So Ordain initially brought the idea to the rest of us as a team. It's based somewhat in sort of like global warming themes. It's not like in your face about it. It's quite like in the background. So it's more about the actual platforming, but it's sort of links in with like Discord between like natures and stuff. So like the full game would have like
Right.
4 areas, like different weathers and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Maybe we can go over the mechanics and what the players are seeing currently on screen. I'm loving the environment. We'll get to that in a second, but maybe a bit of about the mechanics.
Sure, yeah. So the sort of primary mechanic for Akon is the slingshot he's got.
Hmm.
It fires like a bunch of different seeds that do various things. I think he's about to pick up the fire seed in a second, but you start off with the normal one, which is and it's mainly for like sort of like impacts. So you use it to like manipulate the environment and turn on switches and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
The next one that he's going to pick up in a minute is the fire seed. So that one is
Ooh.
mainly for like setting fire to stuff and like clearing obstructions out of the way. The If you can see those bushes over there, yeah, so you can clear stuff out, reveal hidden areas and that kind of thing.
Oh, I see. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
There is the Thunder Seed,
Hmm.
which is an electric-based seed. So with that, there are like various machines scattered about the environment, and that seed is responsible for like turning that off and on again, turning those off and on again. So like minecarts on rails, conveyor belts, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And I believe no, we have two more. I should know this. We've spent like a fair few months making it. Water Seed. So it's like the antithesis of the fire seed. That one, it sort of brings life. So there are certain plants around that you can hit with this water seed, and they'll get bigger and grow, and do
Right.
various things. So like make platforms and that kind of thing. Um, and then the last seed is called the wind seed, and that's for so it's basically like a little jump pad. So you put it down, and it creates a big gust of air that throws you up into the air. And there's quite a bit of functions with that because it interacts with the environment as well. You can use it to like move other things, like propel things forward and yourself.
Hmm.
So it can act as like a bit of a jump extender, but it can also like allow you to like slingshot things pretty far, which we do see further on in the video.
Awesome, awesome. Um, what are you the happiest with where the game has gotten? Because you described the slingshot and different mechanics it has a lot, and I certainly it does seem like the quite exciting part of the game. You know, having the different slingshot modes, let's say, and you know the way you can interact with the world using them. I think that's pretty cool. But what do you like the most that you have managed to achieve throughout the development?
Um, it's quite a simple one for me. Just sort of the levels as they came to life. I was responsible for this area, the tutorial area, and I worked on the next zone with our other designer. And it was just really satisfying to see those sort of come to life as we went through, as it obviously progressed from sketches to grey boxes and so on.
Mhm.
Just really exciting to see that sort of transition to what we have now with like particle effects and lighting and that kind of thing.
I see, I see. Well, then let's get to the environment because I quite like it. I quite like it. What was the reason for this art direction for you guys?
So it sort of stems back to our initial like few design meetings. We did have a brief to run from, but we went through like loads of different sort of references and inspirations, and a couple that really stuck with us were like Slime Rancher, Breath of the Wild,
Mhm.
that kind of like sort of stylized, really colourful, kind of like that explains it perfectly. We didn't want it to be very serious, because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be like a fun little platformer. And with it, like I said before, like with it already having like the themes of like that the sort of global warming stuff, we didn't want to lean too heavily into that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
sort
see.
of like, because like it is an issue that I think a lot of us care about, but at the same time, you play games to relax. You don't play games to to sit there and like worry about everything. So we
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to like stay away from realism. And it's just like a fun little. It really pops. And it's a fun fact about this actually. We didn't have an environment artist throughout all this, so this
Oh
is like a
wow.
combined effort. Yeah, it's a combined effort between our prop artist and myself and our other designer, sort of bringing this together.
Mhm.
It was a bit of a challenge.
I'm loving the platforming mechanics you guys have created here, and sort of the player is required to like on the spot, get the platforms going with the slingshot. I think that's pretty cool. What sort of environments would you be looking to add into the game, like in the future, or are you looking to base the game around this same similar sort of green trees, grass sort of, what are the
Yeah.
thematics you're looking into?
So the other three zones, like let's say with this one, it's based around like the four seasons, representing four different zones, and they are going to be wildly different. We're planning. So this first one is represent spring, so it's very green, very springy. um, we've got summer, autumn, and winter. So those are going to vary quite widely. So like with this one, we have like a little bit of an idyllic village. We've got a big green forest. We've got a massive tree at the back end of it, which is sort of like the end of the level. We've been exploring sort of ideas for the summer because that's the next world that we're going to do. And that's going to be sort of like deserty in some areas, but we're also looking into like a nice little like resort and a beach for other parts of it. For autumn, we're sort of leaning in more of like a Halloweeny direction. We're not really finalized on that one yet. And then winter is going to be we're going to lean really heavily into winter. It's going to be like the most different from the rest of them. It's going to be very blizzardy, very very white, very snowy, quite unforgiving. And because of like again the sort of nature being out of whack thing, they're all going to have these sort of effects and like different weather patterns and stuff like that. That's going to sort of like act as different challenges.
Yeah.
Which you see in this area, I think in a few minutes, and they're also off in the distance as well. So with the spring zone, I'm pointing at my other monitor. Sorry. With the spring zone, we do have well, spoiler alert, but there are some sort of tornadoes moving around that act as like challenges to sort of navigate in the area. And we've got more plans for sort of different things like that in the other zones.
Sorry, can I just stop you there? Are we looking at a speed camera in your game?
Yeah, we are. It's a really expertly modelled one as well. By yours truly. We've
That's genius. I love the speed camera. Honestly, I think actually adds to accessibility because when most people can understand something in a game, it's very much likely to be the thing that's like most discussed. It's like we are in this world with slingshots and it's Acorn's Quest, and all of a sudden we see a speed camera, and it speaks to you.
Well, that's sort of another thing with like NPCs and stuff like that. Another couple of games we were looking at were like Ukulele and Banjo-Kazooie. So, I've heard Ukulele name drop quite a few times during this. But one of the things that I pushed was like how with those games you certainly have like NPCs that are quite different from the environment. Like I know in Ukulele there's a snake that just wears a pair of trousers, and there's a fridge that talks. So I did want things like that as well, because even if it doesn't sort of quite match what's going on around it, it again sort of adds to that like discordant aspect where stuff sort of isn't quite how it should be.
Yeah. Actually, I want to ask you something about your inspiration for the game, because what you are describing to me gives me like some cartoons often have this kind of quirky characters. The first few that come to my mind is maybe like SpongeBob with some stories. The Cowardly Dog cartoon. I'm not sure anyone knows what I'm talking about.
Our favorite. We watched that through uni.
Yeah. So the Cowardly Dog. These sort of cartoons tend to have like the really quirky kind of characters, and it was that an inspiration? Did that have an input into your development by any means?
That definitely that mindset around characters, not those specific those specific shows, but now that you've reminded me about them, we are definitely going to add them to the list.
There you go.
But yeah, like in terms of like sort of those weird like out there characters that are doing
Yeah,
different things, like I definitely want to keep sort of along that vein.
yeah.
Because they're also quite interesting to write for. Because I also do like narrative design as well, so like
Mhm.
writing for characters like that is quite fun because they just sort of say different stuff that Joe blogs on the street wouldn't be talking about. I guess it's a bit of a bad
Yeah,
example, but you know what I mean.
I mean, you don't expect it, and it does stand out, but at the same time, because of the theme you got going on, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's stands out in a way that is forced because of
Yeah.
how the world is. It's sort of like, oh yeah, cool, okay, a spinning camera, nice. Can't wait for the next NPC, you know. So
Definitely
it's
something we were shooting for.
yeah. I mean, you nailed it with the speed camera. You got my attention there, big time. Um, what are you most proud of in the game? I must say that the mechanic that is currently being utilized for platforming, so it's like a almost tree resembling tornado that boosts you. I think that is really cool. But personally, what would you say you like the most? Can even be something that is very minor, but in development, it was just a huge breakthrough for you.
Um, well, so it's actually two things. The first one is the seed that you're talking about now, the wind seed.
Mhm,
This level, this area, should I say, was designed by our other designer Sam Thorpe, and he's done an amazing job.
mhm,
But the wind seed itself came out really nicely. Because when we first started working on it, there was a very clear idea of you have the normal seed, the fire seed, the thunder seed, and the water seed. But the wind seed sort of came out post that,
mhm.
and we designed that other level sort of based around the sort of tutorial for that, and implemented it afterwards. And I am very proud of how it came out and how useful it is, which is a large part due to Sam again with his level design. He's great at what he does, and it works out really well.
To
And the other thing was the voice
yeah.
line. Sorry, the other thing was the voice. You can't hear him in this, but our the voice of like SFX designer Dominica, who we
Mhm.
hired to work for us, she did an amazing job. We've got like I think like 150, 200 sound effects and various voices for different things
Amazing,
that are in there, and
amazing,
it was great adding them in.
amazing. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Um, I love the huge tornado that is just
Yeah,
passing by the water and how it's turning into a water swirl. It's really incredible, an amazing sight. I would love to see more of that in the future. Is that something that you're looking into, like creating these epic scale environments? Because that's sort of what we are seeing just now. It started up a bit small, but now as soon as the player entered this sort of forest, we're seeing much bigger scale of platforming sort of.
yeah. So I think for now the sort of tornadoes are planned to just be limited to the spring zone. Obviously, there's still quite a bit of work to be done, and they might get a bigger feature in it. I know. Again, this is Sam, who made those and implemented those. I say made them. Sort of programmed the way they work around the level and stuff like that. They're almost like his child. He's very proud of them, and that transition as well of getting them to sort of take on the element of the water and stuff. We have programming. It's not being used yet, but it's in there for picking up other elements like
Mhm.
fire and electricity and stuff like that. So there's definitely an opportunity to get them in there in later use. But we, because we want the worlds to be quite different as well, there's it doesn't quite make sense for us to reuse these later on. At least that's my opinion right now.
Mhm.
They'd have their own sort of similar mechanic that hopefully people enjoy just as much.
I see, I see. And I would say kudos on the jumping, the boost mechanics because it seems very intuitive to use. Like I don't think throughout the gameplay there was any moment where where it would act in a way I wouldn't expect as a player, if that makes sense. At
Yeah,
most
yeah,
times when you jump into it, it kind of did what you wanted when you drove into it with like with the scroll that we're seeing on the screen now. And earlier you would use that tornado thing as a boost for it, and whether you are jumping into it or using it as a boost, it does what you would expect, which I think is spot on, you know. So great job with that. Did the development of the game change ever since you enrolled on the enterprise pathway? Sort of, was there anything during your journey that like influenced your gameplay quite a bit from what you have planned initially?
Um, in terms of sort of influences like during it, not really. Like again, like we had like a little bit of a brief when we first started, and when myself, Sam, and our other developer sort of got our hands on it, we just spent like 4 or 5 days like reading it back to front and going through sort of various things, and the majority of the changes were made sort of there and then.
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards it was sort of mainly like additions to things sort of in the heat of the moment where we were like testing a mechanic or doing a specific platforming section. We're like, wow, this is really good, we should use this more. Or if anything was removed due to time constraints, really after that we were sort of, in terms of changes, otherwise we were quite organized with, or had quite a clear mind of what we wanted in from the
Mm-hmm.
start.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Um, what are you looking at in terms of target audience?
So at the minute, a sort of primary audience is I think 8 to 12. It's sort of aimed at a younger audience. Obviously, like everybody can enjoy it,
Mm-hmm.
but like it's that kind of like sort of easygoing, sprightly, sort of ridiculous characters and stuff like that that we're shooting for, sort of there.
Cool, awesome. I think you might hit an unexpected target market with this, with those quirky characters, certainly. I personally really enjoy it. It was actually recently, in these recent years, I quite started enjoying this sort of like platforming genre. Um, and I feel like you might reach unexpected target markets with this one. Um, so that would be interesting to see. Speaking of reaching target markets, when will the game reach the players? When can we expect further developments? You know, and any demos and such. What is that looking like for you in the future?
So we are planning a play testing session on our Discord, or through our Discord, in the next week or two. In terms of like the game actually coming out, our current sort of targeted date right now is sort of mid 2023. So that gives us plenty of time to get our polish and everything in there. Yeah, yeah. I thought I was going to say more, but that's basically it. It was an easy answer.
Awesome, wonderful, all good, all good. I'm not sure we discussed this part, but I wanted to ask about anything that was a huge challenge to get done of the game's development.
Personally,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, it was lighting. I'd
Okay.
never really worked with lighting before. Our team member who was sort of best with that had just been too busy. She works full time, so I had to sort of step in and get that done. And this is just something I'd never really learned before. I had to spend like a good few days just watching tutorials and figure it out to
Hmm.
sort of get something that works as well. Probably, I think networking is a big one for a lot of people, just organizing and sort of or getting stuff done from a distance.
Yeah, I see. That probably was a challenge for most of the teams, I would say, definitely. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, that's I've heard it from the stream quite a few times. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a huge challenge without a doubt. That's why I keep telling you guys, amazing job getting these projects together. You know, you've came a long way, gained plenty of experience, skills, and you're in for a huge opportunity. So, just tap on the back for everyone, honestly. Um, what's your team's ambition post enterprise pathway, post transfuser?
So obviously we want to get Acorn's quest made and out there, but I
Yeah.
think sort of our main goal is to make Braveworld a legitimate full indie studio.
Hmm.
We already have sort of plans and stuff for like future titles that we want to be doing. We hopefully we want to be different sort of in how we run. We want to be a lot more um, staff inclusive in terms of everybody's getting a say in what goes on and everybody gets ideas to put forward. So
Hmm.
um, at the minute it's just obviously the five of us working on it, but if we ever take more people it wouldn't be a case of, oh yeah, just the core members pick what games get made and that kind of thing. We want to do sort of something for everybody. We want to do various titles, various genres, because like, all of us in the team all play very different games as well.
Hmm.
yeah, I don't think it was a fight like when Ordain sort of introduced us to this idea, and it's like, yeah, just make up a list of stuff, and hopefully, like after this, we'll pick from a hat and make a game. And I
I
think
see.
like between the three designers, we were arguing for about 20 solid minutes over whose idea was best.
Damn. Okay. um. Yeah, I mean, you can always keep a hold of the other ideas, as you mentioned in the future, if you are looking into developing more games, that's something I would say you can look into, right? Um, why Brave World? What's the story behind your team's name?
So it's it goes back to sort of what I was talking about a minute ago. So Ardain again was the founder of Braveworld.
Hmm.
And the way he sort of put it to us, is he sort of wanted to change things in the industry, um,
Hmm.
and for him, the sort of being able to like bring about change, you need to be brave.
Yeah.
And so it made sense to call the team Braveworld. Obviously, there's a little bit more to it than that, cutting it short, but yeah, that's the main reason behind it. He's got big plans, and we all want to join him in that because we love
Hey,
games.
amazing, amazing. Yeah, it's what gets you together. Um, so are you gonna be looking to? Uh, I think I asked that already, but just to kind of finish up, to leave something with the viewers that they remember is any solid dates for Acorn's Quest
Um,
people can put in their calendar.
Not solid as of yet. So again, for play testing, week, 2 weeks for full release, summerish 2023.
Ooh, okay. So there is some dates. See, there you go. It went
Oh
from
yeah,
it went from no dates to 2023. At least an estimate. It's always nice to have a
yeah,
goal, something to aim for. Because when you look at it all, it's a nice kick in the back to kind of just get moving.
get your
So
blood going.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you so much for chatting with me. We are gonna post, or I think we have already had posted the Brave World socials. Um, and yeah, I wish you best of luck with the development. If you would like to do any shout outs, say anything to the viewers, this is your stage for a minute and then we'll finish up.
Only shout out I can think of right now is for the team, Sam, Kat, Ardain, and Willow. We've done a great job, and thanks everyone for tuning in and watching us.
There we go. Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much for chatting with me. We are now going to go on a intermission of 10 minutes and we are going to be back at 1:30 with Studio 316. So talk to you guys soon.